Hi everyone, bringing you a video today looking at some more post-war kit, just to get away from the wartime focus the channel's had recently, purely for a change. There will be more videos on wartime kit coming up soon as well, Second World that is, and probably some more stuff on First World War kit as well when time permits. But today we're going to be looking at the 1958 pattern ammunition pouch and a bit of its development history. And we have here a pair of first issue pouches. We'll have a look at the right hand one first. There are certain features of this which would be seen right the way through to the end of production, but there are certain features that mark it out as being a first issue example, and that's primarily the sides on the lid here. They're stiffened. This one's a little bit worn. This is the only right hand pouch I have, unfortunately. It's a bit worn, but it does allow you to see at the top there. The stiffener is the same red fibre as used to make fibre identity discs. I think it was also used as a stiffening material in the base of Second World War hot food carriers and things, other bits of webbing that needed stiffening in them. So that's what's in the side of the lid there. Does make the lid very weather tight, but it's a bit over engineered really, and we'll see with the second issue that was simplified. Something that would remain the same through production pretty much, we'll get to that in a little bit, is the pouch for the Energa adapter for the Energa rifle grenade. This fell out of use very soon after the equipment was introduced, but the pouches continued to be, these little side pouches continued to be part of the manufacture pretty much through to the end of manufacture, although the very final, we'll see, would delete that feature. The very final productions. In contrast to the ones everyone will be familiar with, the later issue examples, these hang straight on the belt, so they're not angled back. As you can see, the hooks are straight and mounted right at the top of the pouch, so the pouch sits very low on the belt. Direct support is provided obviously by this ring at the top here. The yoke, the straps on the yoke come down, loop through there. It means the weight of the pouch is directly supported by the yoke. Obviously the right and left pouches on their right and left sides respectively have a loop which allows the poncho carrier to be clipped, the poncho roll to be clipped onto this to stop that flapping around and also provide a bit more stability to the pouches. Another feature which differentiates the first pattern from later, the third issue, is the narrowness of them. They only take 2 SLR magazines comfortably. There's another feature of these which I'll have to show you on the other one because it's actually been removed from this one. Looking to the left-hand ammunition pouch, we can see that the design is basically the same, but you, instead of the Energa pouch which is on the right on the other one, on the left-hand side here you have the loops for the bayonet scabbard, and obviously the ring for attaching the poncho roll is on the other side. Otherwise, the design is essentially the same. If we open up the lid here, we can see inside the early issues of these have a strap inside and a buckle here, so it's adjustable. And this basically is designed so that depending on the depth of magazine you're carrying, you can adjust how low they sit in the pouch. And the idea is also that as you can see the strap move there, as you raise the lid, it just gently raises the magazines and makes them a little bit more accessible. An interesting design feature, but one that would be deleted later on. And as we'll have a look at the right-hand ammunition pouch here, one that was often removed by the men. So this has been cut, as you can see, and removed. More hassle than it was worth, perhaps. The strap is still in there, the end of the strap, but the main part of it has been just chopped in half there to remove that feature. So obviously not a key part of the design. These are the first issue that were introduced with the set when it was first introduced, and obviously the flap was seen as a bit over-engineered, the design of these sides, the stiffened sides there on the lids. So that would be simplified, and we get the second issue, which I have here. Ooh, I'll bring them up to the camera. The second issue pouches, which differ in no detail other than the sides of the lids here have had the stiffener removed, and it's just now a triangular piece sewn in, or almost triangular piece sewn in at the side there. Still hang straight on the belt, obviously. Still have the hooks right up at the top there. Still have the Energa pouch and everything. Still the same depth, so still quite a limited capacity there. And these were introduced, I believe, in the early 60s to supplement, which obviously these are introduction dates. If it's not worn out, it's going to continue being issued. You see the first issue still being issued in the late 60s generally, and the last photograph I've seen of these in use was in the 80s with Royal Corps Transport soldier with a Sterling, single one of these on his belt, Sterling submachine gun, and just had the lid open with his magazines jammed inside, and he was directing traffic. So certainly front line, I think there was an emphasis to get certainly the larger pouches, which we'll look at in just a moment, issued because they have a greater capacity. But these were still being used by other troops much later on. And as I say, in the late 60s into the 70s, you still see these being used by frontline troops as well. So there's a real mix of kit there. And obviously nothing's going to be thrown away until it's worn out. Generally speaking, the Army are very good at that. So that, anyway, is the second issue pair there, left and right. And you can see this one's quite heavily worn, missing a bit off the pull tab there. So it has had a long and hard service life. You can see how badly the hooks on the back there have worn through. That's a common thing to see as well. But just to show you the kind of service wear these things get, and you'll often find 58 pattern in very bad nick. I found all these earlier pouches just rummaging at shows, so if you're looking to get some 60s specific 58 pattern, then I would suggest going to shows and rummaging through pound piles and things. It's a good place to find stuff. Something I almost forgot to mention is that the second issue ammunition pouches maintain the strap, which obviously acts to raise the magazine slightly as you open the pouch. This would be deleted on the third issue pouches, which are the ones we're going to look at next. So, moving on now to the third issue, and these are the most common to find because they were manufactured right the way through from the 60s into the 80s. These seem to have come in mid to late 60s, but obviously that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be issued out straight away. So you start to see these very late 60s, 70s. It doesn't mean you don't see the earlier patterns still in use, the earlier types, but these are considerably larger, considerably deeper, as you can see, much greater capacity. So have the simplified lid there. You can see how much deeper they are by the fact that the loops for on the left-hand one here, the loops for the bayonet no longer cover the whole width of the pouch. You've got an extra width there, so you can carry an extra magazine. Otherwise, the design of the external features is pretty much the same on each. You've still got the bayonet loops, you've still got the Energa pouch on that side. Interesting little detail on the Energa pouch, the twist for the lock there is now made of plastic, not metal, and that seems to vary a little bit through manufacture. Same with the compass pouch, which also has this twist lock. I believe the early water bottle pouch, which has this, went out of production before they switched to making those out of plastic, so you don't see those with a plastic twist lock on them. The biggest design feature, other than the change in the size that was altered, are the hooks on the back for attaching to the belt, which are now angled and sit a little bit lower on the pouch in consequence of that. And you can see that the idea is that they sit now like that when they're worn on the belt, so that they sit away from the hips, which allows you to sit down more effectively, and it's more comfortable that way, which is something that was found with the Mark 1 1937 pattern basic pouches. They hung low on the belt and were straight, and that was a problem, so they were actually raised up. So it took a little while for this solution to be implemented with the 1958 pattern, but it was in the end. You can see this one here I've picked out because it's nearly mint. In fact, it is mint, really. This one's a little bit more heavily worn, the right-hand one. But we'll put that down now and we'll have a quick look at the left-hand pouch. You can see here MW&S 1988. We have the tail end of the NATO stock number there. You can actually still see the markings on this, the pen markings there. You can see for the top of the where the lip of the pouch should be at the front there, there's a marker on there. Stitch marks in here for where the loop for the pull tab closure should be, and then you can also see the lines drawn for where the clips on the back should be sewn on, so it still has a lot of the maker's marks on it as well for where everything was supposed to be stitched on, so that's very nice condition. But 1988 manufactured that one, so quite a late production example, but still made to the same design that seems to have been introduced in the mid to late 1960s. So there it is. The final pattern, the fourth issue, there was no mark designation advancement in these, unlike 1937 pattern, which where you had the Mark II, the Mark III, the Mark 1, the Mark II, the Mark III, and then the quick release, which again, they were all under the Mark III. This is a bit more like that, is they're all 1958 pattern. The Mark II 1958 pattern designation was reserved for the trial nylon version, which is something I'll possibly do a video on another day. But this is the fourth issue, the fourth production run, fourth design. Doesn't seem to have been a great deal of nomenclature change throughout production. They were changed for various reasons. This has no fitting on the outside, and I only have one of these, unfortunately. They were made in a left and right handed pair with the loops for the poncho roll on the left and right sides respectively, and angled, of course, still. So the design hasn't changed from the third issue, other than having nothing on the sides. So no Energa pouch and no bayonet loop. Sorry, this one, no bayonet loop, because this is the left hand pouch. So no bayonet loops on this, and similarly the right hand one will be made with no pouch for the Energa adapter, which was a long time coming, because, as I say, the Energa grenade adapter for the rifle had gone out of use many years ago. But the idea of these, as far as I'm aware, was they were for use with the SA-80, which of course did not have a bayonet that you could carry on the side of the pouch. So that's the final issue, and I need to get a right hand one of these to finish off the set, really, but I can illustrate the point with just one, that these are purely modified in having no fittings on the outside for either the bayonet or the Energa grenade launcher. So there it is. That's basic run through of the pouches. As I say, I thought doing it this way rather than, I've previously done videos on the various sets moving through time. That's a little unclear because bits were mixed and matched. There wasn't really a hard and, well, of course there never is with military kit, a hard and fast, this will go out of service now and we now use this. It's as stuff is used up and as stocks are. The common line when a new kit is introduced is existing stocks to be used up. So I thought this was a good way of looking through the way the design was adapted and developed through the service life of 1958 pattern. And that's a look right the way through from the first issue right the way through to the fourth issue pouches. So I do hope you found that interesting. I will be doing more videos looking at different components, probably do some better videos looking at sets than the ones I've already done, get them on a mannequin, which would be a bit better way of looking at the 58 pattern as a set and other web equipment as well. So that's something to look out for going forward. If you do like my videos and you'd like to see more, then please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And if you are already subscribed or new to subscribing, make sure you hit the notification button, which obviously will notify you when I upload future videos. I do also have a Facebook and an Instagram page, which I always link in the description. So if you'd like to see more of the collection, I often upload photographs there, which are not easy to slot into YouTube videos, and it also often show videos there a bit earlier than they are made public on the channel. So if you want to get early access, that's a good place to follow me as well. I think that's everything. So that's it for now. Bye for now.